Hey everyone, it's Tony Baldwin. I'm so excited to be here with you to share the 4x4 methodology, the four facets of freedom, and the four keys to connection, which are basically the core concepts of this book that I've been writing for the past few years, From Pressure to Peace, which will most likely be launched and released next year. But the strategies and the tools and the system just could not wait. I want to share with you some of these insights to hopefully help you, and I believe that they can be really impactful. For those of you who don't know me, I've been sober about 23 years by the grace of God and been through a lot in life, lots of ups and downs. And no matter what you're going through, there is always hope. I think there's somebody right now that's listening to this. Either you or someone you know is going through something really challenging, and maybe you're in crisis right now. And I want to help you open the door to a new path. You're going to get through this, and maybe by looking at this and watching this training and diving into some of these teachings here, it's going to help you think about some things differently. And my hope is that it will be inspirational. And so let's go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to share this presentation with you and also make available the slide deck in PDF form so that you can have that available too on my site. So if you're just joining me here on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, that would really be helpful. Help stay connected as well. So let's take a look. So before we jump into it, this is the highest level overview that I can give you, the prosperity map. So discover, dive, discern, discipline, and dream. Now, if we're going to be working together, or if you just want to dive into these teachings, this is the journey. And ask yourself, where are you in this journey? Well, the first one is discovery. We're going to find out where you are now and where you want to be. The second one is diving deep into the formation of opportunity with the four facets, which we'll talk about today. The wheel of change is the master framework, which you'll see in visual form here. That's where we master the art of discernment. The fourth is a game plan. So we're going to implement what you have learned and put it in the form of a game plan, set up some accountability, and then dream, stepping into your calling and living your dream. So what is prosperity? What is the connection point? Well, I believe that prosperity is the intersection of wealth and well-being, achievement and fulfillment, accomplishment and growth, challenge and change. I believe it's a connection of the material and the spiritual. And so what is at the core of prosperity? I believe that it's freedom. Freedom from anything that has disconnected you from relationships in life. The relationship with yourself, God, your partner, your kids, your family, your work, your friends. I believe that freedom equals healthy, prosperous, wealthy relationships. And if you look at this diagram on the left side, you can see the science of achievement, which is you take that primal ambition, that drive to survive, and you achieve. You can come up with success. You can generate success in your life. And on the right side, if you take that elevated ambition to generate some joy and happiness in your life, that's your fulfillment, which then can create peace. But if you combine the two, that science of achievement, art of fulfillment, I believe that you can unlock your purpose. And that's where that diamond, that gem in the middle is, where we can experience true freedom. And this is really transformation is what it is. So the components of transformation, I believe prosperity is the result of three things. We have revelation, restoration, and recognition. There's a truth that's being revealed in your life right now through what you're going through. That's revelation. Restoration is the restoring of a lost relationship. In my experience, it was restoring the lost relationship I had with myself. It was restoring the lost relationship I had with God. And recognition, recognizing that your life is a gift. The recognition of grace. That the only reason I know that I'm here today is by an all-powerful God and power of grace. And so I want to share with you the methodology, the four facets of freedom and the four keys to connection. The four facets is the process. So this is the formation of opportunity. And you can see here the pressure, pivot, peace, and purpose. That's how opportunity is formed. The 4 keys to connection is the application. This is the system of tools. This is what to do. 3 to get, 1 to give. Get quiet, get help, get happy, and help another. We'll get into more in just a little bit. Now, we all want to create more freedom, happiness, and achieve our goals, but most of us feel too busy and stressed and not in control of our happiness and overall health. And while the idea of becoming free is inspiring, it can also feel impossible and stressful just by itself, creating even more pressure. We want peace, balance, and health, and to be financially and emotionally free, feel less pressure, more time with family, and be a leader who provides and is respected. And most people hit a wall and realize the same things keep coming up and can't break through because they don't have a simple system to follow. There's too much stress, working too much, not enough time with family, too much pressure, engaging in behaviors that don't move the needle or cause even more problems. And you start doubting yourself, filled with frustration, tons of uncertainty, worried that your marriage or business won't survive, or you're stressed at work, you're overwhelmed with a million tasks and family responsibilities, or you're just lost. A large majority of people are so consumed by daily life, they have little to no bandwidth left for working on themselves. Yet amidst all that pain and pressure, their intuition is telling them there's a way out of the same repetitive cycle, and they can become free and unlock their potential. And now for me, what I personally struggled with at first was maybe just like you, I felt out of control. I was lost, I was stuck, and I was just under constant pressure. And the biggest turning point for me was feeling like no matter what I did, it wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. And I kept hitting bottom. And at my lowest point, that's when something clicked. I was holding on to unhealthy patterns and old ways of handling problems. And the one thing I learned is that when we hit bottom, we actually hit the ceiling of surrender. And it becomes less about doing more and holding on, and it becomes more about doing less and letting go. I'll say that again. When we hit bottom, we actually hit the ceiling of surrender. That's the one thing that I want you to take away from today. And so the simple framework that I put together for anyone wanting to do what I did is a 4-phase simple system called the 4 keys to connection. Get quiet, get help, get happy, and help another. Surrender, seek, smile, and serve. We'll dive into each key, which unlocks the peace pyramid and activates the 3 to get, 1 to give, get right formula. Now, the process, whether we like it or not, must follow these sequential phases in this order. Otherwise, and trust me, I've made this mistake, we won't get the best results and suffer setbacks because of it. This framework is battle-tested over 23 years of sobriety, ups and downs, and countless failures and successes. This is how we get right with ourselves and God, find our calling, and develop a consistent practice. The 4 facets of freedom. So let's get into it. The first one, the pressure pyramid. This is our survival sequence. The second one is the moment of truth. Critical choice needs to be made. We can pivot. The third is the peace pyramid, our surrender sequence. When we start developing peace, this is actually where the book was written, From Pressure to Peace. These are the 4 keys to connection live within this third facet. And the fourth is the power diamond of integration. So this is where we can unlock purpose. And I'll show you how this all fits together. So again, this is all about natural formation of opportunity. And the best natural example that we have is that of a diamond. Through immense heat, pressure, and time, this is literally the process of carbon or graphite being formed into a diamond. So it's the process of going from darkness to light. And how they're brought to the surface is diamonds are delivered to the surface via deep source volcanic eruptions. So how this applies to your life is that heat is your emotion. Have you ever been heated before? The pressure is your life situation that you're experiencing. And over time, we either repeat the same cycle or we surrender. We open the door to a new path when a deep source eruption occurs or when a crisis comes and we have a moment of truth. So let's get into the first facet, the pressure pyramid. This is our survival sequence. Now, the pressure pyramid in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. These are things that we need to do to survive. Matter of fact, some people can actually use this and achieve success. Work hard, be strong, keep going. Time for money. So we have the principles of effort, strength, persistence, and trade. The problem is if this is all we're doing, we get stuck in this and we live here. Stress, discontent, pressure. We're operating from a source of ego and fear. It's like all we want is safety. All we want is certainty. All we want to do is just numb the pain. And so this is what we do. We get stuck here. So zooming out a bit, we can see this is our first look at the wheel of change. Right now, nothing's changing. We're in the problem pyramid. We're in the pressure pyramid. So emotion and heat, you have the situation and pressure, and over time, we keep repeating the same cycle. Instant gratification. It's this outside in. Any coping strategy to numb the pain and avoid the real issue. A really great example is addiction, right? You got these people, I mean, I'm one of them too, and I was when I was drinking and using drugs. I think people do this too in work or relationships where they just continue to numb the pain. They keep the same cycle. They're never able to really open the door to a new path. And what I want to make very clear is that there's one thing that we can do. There's one thing that's holding us back. So before we get there, another great look is the achiever's paradox. And the paradox here is that freedom is actually never achieved. The achievers want to achieve all these great things, but the problem is that they're always going for the fruit and they're never able to get to the root. And I'm guilty of this too. So what we want is these mountaintop experiences. We want to stay in the sunlight. We want to stay on the surface. We want wealth, accomplishment. But what the problem is that we just create distance. Distance from ourselves, distance from the truth, distance in our relationships. We're locked in the cycle of external effect, and we're never free to explore internal cause. And the goal should be to really live at cause. And the reason why is that we don't want to get uncomfortable. A lot of times we got to go through pain to get to the peace and the balance and the freedom, or uncertainty to get to that humility and courage and patience that we can unlock. Or we got to go through some chaos to open that love and health and positivity. And that's really that line that we've got to cross. That's what we're about to do. The second facet of freedom is the moment of truth. We have a critical choice here. That deep source eruption, maybe a crisis is going on right now in your life. And this is where I believe God is speaking to you. And we have that emotion, that heat, the situation and pressure. And over time, you come to a point where you can no longer repeat that same destructive cycle. And your higher truth comes in. And this is where we can surrender. So in that moment of truth, all the greats know throughout history that in order to break a cycle and achieve the highest level, we need to let go and choose a different path. Now, this is also in performance. This is that breath at the free throw line. You know, all the greats there, just take a breath, slow it down, invite some stillness. Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And our response lies our growth and our freedom. But the problem is most of us have lost that power. We think doing more and having more will save us. Maybe that other relationship or more money will save us, and that surrender is actually just a form of weakness. We need to work harder. Well, a really great story that can help shine some light on this is the flight from the shadow. There was a man who was so disturbed by the sight of his own shadow and so displeased by his own footsteps that he determined to get rid of both. The method he hit upon was to run away from him. So he got up and ran. But every time he put his foot down, there was another step. Well, his shadow kept up with him without the slightest difficulty. He attributed his failure to the fact that he wasn't running fast enough. So he ran faster and faster without stopping. And finally, he dropped dead. He failed to realize that if he merely stepped into the shade, his shadow would vanish. And if he sat down and stayed still, there would be no more footsteps. In that tree that you see there, that tree of life, that's representative of your dreams and your aspirations. It's representative of the fulfillment and peace that you seek. And if we would just sit down and stay still, we need to realize that surrender is not a passive position. It is an active turning of trust toward truth. Okay, Tony, so this all sounds great, but how? Well, Tony Robbins said it best. Most people have a highway to stress and a dirt road to happiness. Highway to stress, dirt road to happiness. And biologically, we're wired this way, which means if you develop this new habit, you'll reverse that. And you can build a highway to happiness and a dirt road to stress. It's a process, but it can happen. And now when emotions are elevated, we must find solid ground. There's two essential paths for grounding in the body. This is how surrender can work. Highly focused breath work and attention, or highly focused movement and release. The key here being that we're going to open the door to a new path. So if you're like me, for example, someone who's a runner, who typically when tempers flare and you have conflict, I'd explode and leave and go and do things. And so movement and release was kind of my go-to. So the new path for me to find grounding and hack into that nervous system and calm myself down needed to be through breath work and attention, work with that. Now, what I will say is if you are in crisis, if you are out of control, you need to pick up the phone and call someone. You need to call a licensed professional. You need to call someone who's like a therapist. And many times in my life, I've reached that point, well, a few times. And if you are out of control, get some help and remove some of those bigger roadblocks. If you have childhood trauma like me, I'm not going to get into it right now, but I needed to do some deep work on that before I could even have some success here. And it's a process. But these two things right here is going to help you open that door and understand how we start doing that. So highly focused breath work and attention. I've created an exercise called the 9-second safe cracker because I believe inside that tension, it just needs attention, and we're going to find that diamond and crack the safe. And we do that through trust. TRUST. Tune in, repeat a phrase, unite with breath, sit in the fire, and transcend the situation. So reaching in. Big 3-second in breath, heaven is here. 3-second out breath, mind is clear. 3-second space between, heart is completely open. And we're going to say those on each of those phases in 9 seconds. So do this 3 times, and each sequence after, we're going to rest a little bit longer in the space between, which is really important. I won't get into this too much, but that's just a quick one. You can hack into the nervous system and calm down. Moment of truth. If you want to look at this in a formula version, locked in the same cycle equals emotion plus situation times your external stimulus equals intoxication. That's you locked in the same cycle. That's addiction. The mechanism of mastery, or the new path here, is emotion plus the situation times stillness equals transformation. Be still and know that I am God. Once you do this, this is the door that opens all others. Enter the third facet of freedom. This is the peace pyramid. The surrender sequence. Get quiet, get help, get happy, and help another. 3 to get, 1 to give. Get right formula. Giving everything to realign internally, gaining your higher truth. This is our surrender sequence. So instead of, remember with the pressure pyramid, you're operating from a source of ego and fear. Well, now we're operating from humility and compassion. This is an elevated ambition. Now we can develop some peace in our life. And they're also called the 4 keys to connection. So getting quiet, getting help, getting happy, and helping another. 1 and 3 have to do with reaching in, connecting to our biology. 2 and 4, getting help and helping another, have to do with sociology, reaching out into the world. So we've got reaching in and reaching out exercises. The core principles: getting quiet, stop and let go. Surrender, trust, obedience, patience, and let go. Getting help, coach. You either need to book a call with me, you need a therapist, a spiritual advisor, get a coach. Courage, openness, asking, confidence, humility. Getting happy, smile. I almost named this sweat, for those of you that know me in my fitness background. But smile, because we need to learn how to get present in the moment without doing anything. Self-love, movement, improvement, lucky or gratitude, equalization, how to go from pressure to peace. And the last thing that we have to give is ourselves in service to another, but we don't have to launch out on some fancy service mission. This is about the ministry of presence, how we can help somebody right now. And it's how we spend service, presence, elevation, nearness, and discernment. All right, so let's zoom out again. Look at the wheel of change. So we finally started to implement these principles of the Get Right formula, and you can see how we're evolving now. We've opened the door to a new path. This leads us to the fourth facet of freedom, and this is where it gets really amazing, is because now we've let God into our hearts, in my belief, and we start living a purposeful, integrated life. And if you remember, the pressure pyramid isn't necessarily something that's all bad. It only is if that's all we're doing. But what happens is we can integrate and become balanced. And so all that stress and discontent can now turn into purpose and health. We're going to work hard, but now we're balanced, right? So we have this love and purpose that we can operate from. And we have self-control and self-awareness and self-love and presence. And this is the wheel of change. If you look at it in totality, how we go from problems to prosperity. This is how the four facets of freedom all interlock with those four keys of connection in that peace pyramid. And I want to leave you with this as we all seek the treasure, opening these diamonds of opportunity, or finding the diamonds within the opportunity that we have. Dr. Russell Conwell, who was an ordained minister in 1881, was said to have delivered this lecture thousands of times about how he hired a guide in the Persian Gulf who spoke of this incredible tale. So there was a man, Al-Hafed, who lived on the banks of a river, who had a nice farm and orchards and gardens, money, a beautiful wife and children, and he was wealthy because he was content. And then an old priest visited him one night and told him how the world was made, including the formation of all the rocks, the earth, the precious metals and stones. And he told the farmer that if he had a few diamonds, he could have not just one farm, but many. And the farmer listened. Suddenly he wasn't happy with what he had. He sold everything and went traveling in search of diamonds across Persia, Palestine, and into Europe. A couple of years later, what money he had was gone, and he was wandering around in rags. When a large wave came in from the sea, he was happily swept under by it. The man who bought the farmer's land, however, was another story. One day, watering his animals in the stream that ran through the property, he noticed a glint in the watery sands. It was a diamond. And in fact, it was one of the richest diamond finds in history. The mines of Golconda would yield not just one or two, but acres of diamonds. So the lesson here is that most of us failed to discover the buried treasures of opportunity hidden in our own backyards. We get upset by focusing on what we don't have, overvaluing monetary things, thinking that abundance and success or happiness lies outside of ourselves. Once I get that insert object of desire here, I will be happy. Once I get that new relationship or a new car or more money or another job, I will finally be happy. Much like Al-Hafed, who was wealthy and content before he began to obsess about diamonds, our natural state is one of completeness and fulfillment prior to our imbalanced and toxic thinking. We think more or different is better as our bodies and brains become conditioned to that chemical effect, and we're never satisfied. So the solution is about restoring that lost relationship with ourselves and God, finding the diamonds of opportunity within our challenges, and ultimately deciding to live at cause, not effect. So if you, someone you know, or your business, company, organization wants to go from the pressure pyramid of stress, discontent, burnout, fear, shame, addicted, unhealthy habits and relationships, feeling lost or stuck, and you just negative self-talk, to experiencing real health and peace and healthy routines and purpose, balance, positivity, being fully present improving efficiency, changing destructive behaviors, changing your old ways of thinking, taking risks that really pay off, then schedule a free coaching call with me. Go to my site, fill out the form. You can have my time for free coaching call, or you can invite me to speak. I would love to. So zooming out once again, high level overview, I'm going to ask you again, where are you in this process? Where are you on the prosperity map? Are you in discovery? Or maybe you just need help with the game plan. You need help implementing what you have learned. Maybe just learned here, or you already know it needs to happen. You just need accountability. So where are you here? Or do you want to unlock your dream? I'm here for it. What do you need? You can find me either at my site, IamTonyBaldwin.com. You can continue. This is going to be the first of many. Continue to find me on YouTube or Instagram. I am Tony Baldwin is the handle. And with that about does it. I'm so excited that you joined me. Again, let's stay connected in either one of those ways. Like and subscribe or follow me. Let's do it. Hop on a call. Fill out a form. I'm here for it. There's always hope. Trust me, you're going to get through this. And I'm excited. That's all I got to say. I'm just excited. And I see you. I know that there's a lot of people going through challenges. So I'm here for you. I'm praying for you. And there's always hope. You guys have a great day. We'll chat with you soon. First of many. Let's do it. Have a great day.